Let's see. Can I get? Yep, there's Santa in the background. There he is. Got him. Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. A little earlier than usual. It's 11:11 p.m. Hey, make a wish. Except don't make a wish that my show gets canceled. I am Dylan Lang. This is episode 529, Attack of the Stupid People. And yeah, it was quite a week for the stupid people. We also had some notable deaths this week. We had a notable divorce. We had me wearing these glasses that are making things extra foggy, so it's hard to see. We have Joe Flacco back in the news here. We've got December is here. We've got trailers. We've got coincidences. We've got some sports ball. We've got some Academy Award news. Pretty interesting. And that's about it. This episode is going to be a lot of me bitching. Not right away, though, because a lot of stuff happened this week. So, which is Fortnite. I got to talk about Fortnite also. So, actually, presently right now, the second live event is going on right now. We'll talk about that in a little bit because I'm going to bitch and moan about that here in a little bit. And yeah, some interesting sci-fi trailers because there was some sort of convention this week, CCPIX or whatever. Never heard of it before. So we got some pretty cool updated stuff, some sci-fi fantasy sort of stuff, and a unrecognizable Chris Hemsworth. So it's kind of interesting to see that. So we better get right to it here. It is December 2nd. So this month, my daughter will turn 17 years old. Not for a couple weeks, though, 12th of December. Krampusnacht is this week, December 5th. Pearl Harbor Day is this week also. My company's fancy dinner, which I don't go to for a variety of reasons, we're not going to get into here, is this week as well. My sister-in-law's birthday is this week. My niece's birthday is this week. Some former friends from work's birthdays this week also. So all kinds of new stuff. The Ravens, my football team, they won against the Chargers. So they go into their bye week 9-3. So they're off tomorrow. So you will not have any Ravens football tomorrow. So that's good. Give them a long break here. They'll be coming back from their vacation in a day or two and getting ready for their game against the Rams in Baltimore next Sunday, the 10th. So that'd be cool. My son got the beginnings of his braces adventures this week. He got his expanders, expanding the jaw. He's got to keep those in until end of June, actually. So because he got them on November 30th, and he's got to keep them in for 7 months. So that takes us to about June 30th. Will he get them? And then he'll get his regular braces in on July 1st or that week or whatever. So that's interesting. He's adjusting as best he can. He's got this, it's a little device that's like up on the roof of his mouth, and he's got some stuff on the side here. So it's kind of hard for him to eat and chew regular stuff without some pain or getting stuck in that little device thing. He's got little water picks and stuff. He's got to tighten it every day. So it's going to be a chore here for the next 7 months for the boy, but he's doing pretty good with it so far. Yeah, so nothing really else to say about December. It is, as I said, December. Christmas is coming. Got the outdoor Christmas lights set up and the inflatables for the outside. I got the Christmas tree up, I'm really amazed by all this because here it is, December 2nd. Last year, I didn't get all that stuff up till like the week before Christmas. Actually, I think it's probably the 13th or 43rd on my daughter's birthday. I got it up that weekend after her birthday. So I'm a week early, which is good. Got the outside stuff. I got the tree up, but I haven't done the inside yet was hoping I could do it tomorrow since the Ravens aren't playing, but I actually have to go down to my in-laws' house because my father-in-law wants to has tradition where he takes his grandkids with him to get their family Christmas tree. And surprisingly, he's never had my kids there in the many years he's done this. So he finally said, hey, maybe I should get them to do this. So can't help but feel a little, why it take you so long to do this? At the same time, it's like, I really don't want to go down there and do that at the same time. But he wants to do it with his grandkids, so that's fine. I'll let him go ahead. So that'd be nice for them. So we got that going tomorrow. And then back to work all week next week. And then next weekend is another free weekend. So it looks like next weekend, my son will see Godzilla -1 or +1, whatever it is. And my daughter, I think, the boy in his harem for her birthday. I wouldn't mind seeing that the weekend before her birthday. So I think that's out there too. So I think this upcoming weekend we'll do movies, and then maybe I'll have some time to decorate the inside of the house. If I don't get the whole inside done until a week or so before Christmas, that's okay. I got the tree up, which is important. I got the exterior illumination up, which is important. So I'm not going to put it off, though. I'm going to try to get it, but the weekends keep getting filled up real quick here. So that's what's going on with that. Joe Flacco, former quarterback of the Ravens, won a Super Bowl with them. And then after his contract was up, he signed with the Denver Broncos, where he didn't do very much with them. And then they sent him to the Jets. He didn't do much with them also. Was a backup there for a while. Had a couple of good games for them, but hasn't really had the second career after his contract that he was hoping for. And then he was unemployed up until about last week when the Cleveland Browns came calling with all the injuries they had to their quarterback. And he is being elevated to start tomorrow. So Joe Flacco will be starting for the Browns tomorrow in their game against the Rams in Los Angeles. Funny thing is, though, I said a joke. I was like, how long is it going to take for the Browns fans to scream that Joe Flacco is trying to help his former team, the Ravens, if he starts screwing up pretty badly and they start losing games, because the Browns are just a game behind us in the standings. So that's interesting. So, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun to see what happens with that. So congratulations to him getting back on the horse there. And look, I wish he wasn't with the Browns because I really want him to do well. But we really need the Browns to start losing. So we'll see. So Furiosa is the prequel to, what's that? Something Road. Fury Road, that was sort of a sequel to the Mad Max movies that they had Tom Hardy as the Mel Gibson character and Charlize Theron as this new character named Furiosa. Well, they did a prequel with Anya Taylor-Smith or whatever, Jones maybe, whatever, is playing younger Charlize Theron. And Chris Hemsworth will be playing the bad guy. And we've been hearing stuff about it. George Miller, who directed the Fury Road and the Mad Max movies, will actually be directing this one as well. And the first trailer for Furiosa popped up this week. Watch it. It's pretty much what you expect from a George Miller Mad Max sort of movie. If you like Fury Road, you're probably going to like this. But the interesting thing I noticed is that you know it's Chris Hemsworth because they say his name at it, but his voice is completely different. He's under a different. He's got sort of the beard sort of thing, which you're used to seeing him as Thor, but his face looks different. Like they added appliances or something to make him not look like Chris Hemsworth. So he actually does pretty good in the trailer for that. So that's pretty interesting. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, go ahead and check it out. Night Swim, which is a horror film from, I think, A24, coming out in January. Got a new trailer about that. It's about a haunted swimming pool. Do with that as we will. We'll talk about Fallout in a little bit. Season 2 of Halo is going to hit Paramount Plus on February 8th, 2024. They showed the trailer for that. Looks pretty good, pretty decent. First season did very well, so they're hoping the second season is going to do just as well for that. Mountain Dew is going to be releasing a new flavor that's going to be available only at 7-Elevens in June of 2024 called Infinite Swirl. and it's going to be a pineapple berry flavor, which I can only imagine what that's going to taste like. I mean, I'll be able to imagine because we have a 7-Eleven. Shit, where is the closest 7-Eleven? We used to have one right down the street, but it's not there anymore. Do we have any 7-Elevens in the area? I don't think we do. I know we got like 2 down by my work, so I'll be able to pop in there and pick that up on my way into work someday. So that'll be good. David Lynch, one of my favorite directors, is unfortunately getting a divorce from his 4th wife. That was announced this week as well. Some science news. Water leaking into the Earth's core may have birthed a mysterious layer that churns out crystals. And this isn't some fake news. This is actual science news that they discovered. That sounds kind of neat and interesting that it could do something like that. The Oscars this week had their 100-day to the Oscar sort of thing. The Oscar nominations are due out, I think, January 23rd, 2024, and the actual telecast will be March 10th. Jimmy Fallon will be hosting again. But they announced this week that the Oscars will be starting at 7 p.m. instead of the typical 8 to 8:30. So if, usually the Oscars ends around midnight, 11:30 to midnight. Now it could be 10:30 to 11, which is a lot better than 11:30 to midnight. So that's pretty cool. So we'll see how that actually churns out. I think I wrote that down somewhere else, but I will, if they're there, boom, I can check that off the list. So I'll take that out as well. Major deaths this week. Sandra Day O'Connor, the first female Supreme Court justice ever, passed away this week. She was like in her 90s, I believe. Henry Kissinger, former diplomat, former Secretary of State under Tricky Dick Nixon, and apparently not a well-loved person. Unfortunately, being a history major, I really don't know that much about Kissinger. I read some stuff, but people really, really seem to hate him. I think he was into napalming people instead of, killing like that, and he hasn't been a very good person. I mean, he was in Nixon's cabinet, stuff like that. So I'm not exactly sure, but he was universally loathed, and he passed away at the age around 100, I believe. Shane McGowan, lead singer of the Pogues, a band I really don't know much about. The most famous song I know of them is Fairy Tale of New York, which is their Christmas song, which they used at the beginning of last year's Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. And Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce remade it as Fairy Tale of Philadelphia for the Philadelphia Eagles Christmas album. So that's really all I know about the Pogues, but they are a fairly well-known band, and he passed away from that. Michael Latt, a Netflix executive and an activist, was murdered in his home by a homeless woman. No one really knows the reason for it, but he was an activist who was there to try to help people and also happened to be a Netflix exec as well. And he was murdered in his home. So he passed away this week. Well, he was murdered. He didn't pass away. And we always talk about male character actors, but there are some really good female ones. And we lost a really good female character actor this week in Frances Sternhagen. I'm going to give you a general, I'm going to give you a look at what she's done. So you probably don't know her name, but I guarantee you know who she is. Frances Sternhagen was a Tony Award-winning actress. So she actually did win the Tonys. But here is her lifetime of work. We'll do her films first. Let's see what you might know her from. She was in Bright Lights, Big City. She was in Communion. She was in Misery. She was in Doc Hollywood. She was in Raising Cain. She was in The Mist. She was in Julie and Julia. She was in Dolphin Tale as well. But she's most famous for her television work. In television, she was Cliff Clavin's mother in Cheers. She was Gina Williams in Golden Years, which was based on a Stephen King short story. She was in an episode of Tales from the Crypt. She was ER. She played Carter's grandmother, who was rich. She was in 21 episodes there. She was in Sex and the City, where she played Kyle MacLachlan's needy mother for 10 episodes. She did a voice on The Simpsons. Was in The Closer for 15 episodes. 20 episodes of ER. 7 episodes of Golden Years. 7 episodes of Cheers. So she did a whole bunch of stuff. So you would recognize her if you saw her, but she passed away this week. Kyle MacLachlan did a tribute to her. I didn't see anything from Ratzenberger or anyone else yet, but it's still early now, so we'll see. So that happened this week. All right, since this is the only other thing on this page, and I have a lot to say, all the way down to there, a lot to say. 16 minutes in is perfect, exactly 16 minutes in. I'm going to start bitching now. So you can call this old man yelling at clouds, call this whatever you want, but I'm going to unload a whole bunch of shit. And it's probably going to take a good half hour probably to talk about all this stuff. So let's talk about Fortnite, shall we? Right now, it probably just ended. Yep. So Fortnite today was their live event, which was the end of this OG season, which I'll get into in a little bit. Got a bitch about that too. It was the end of their OG season. It was going to be a 20-minute live event. We haven't had one since the end of Chapter 3, which was about a year or so ago, I guess. And yeah, that works out about right. And then it was going to show the new game mods that Fortnite is going to release next week. Battle Royale obviously is going into Chapter 5 with a new map, new weapons, new battle pass, all that stuff. So they wanted to show a little bit of a hint about that. But they also created 3 new game modes as well, which were all teased in this final live event. The Lego Fortnite, which is due out on December 7th, is basically the Chapter 5 map and everything in it, but it's all Lego and you're playing as Lego. So it's going to be a different game mode. So if you don't want to play the regular Battle Royale, you can click on that and play that one instead. February 8th, you will have, I just lost it, the Rocket League Racing game mode where you're just going to be racing across the island. And the 9th is going to release Fortnite Festival, which is the rhythmic portion of the game, which is a lot like a Guitar Hero sort of thing, or a dance sort of thing. But they've got a whole bunch of actual musicians involved with it. The Weeknd is involved with it. Avenged Sevenfold, Eminem, Lady Gaga. They all have parts in this new Fortnite Festival, and that was the tying point for this event was that Eminem was going to do a mini concert. They didn't know exactly how it was going to go, but they knew he was going to be involved with it because they just released his skin, his 3 variations of skins, and all of his accoutrements, which all total would be 5,000 V-Bucks, which is a lot of V-Bucks to get all that stuff. I was going to get it, but that's way too much. That's $37 right there to get all those accoutrements. Just that's 5,000 V-Bucks right there. So he was going to have a mini concert like that. So it's going to be at 2 o'clock today, Eastern time. So my son and I, we're going to team up with his friends, Hunter and Austin, who I've also played with in the game as well. And we were all going to get in and we're going to all enjoy the live event. Yeah, that didn't happen. So they recommend you go in a half hour before the event. So that'd be 1:30. So I was eating lunch. Noah was eating lunch. And we get a call from Austin at about 1:20 saying, dude, you have to get on now. The queue to get into Fortnite is about an hour and a half long. What was it, hour? No, it wasn't an hour and a half. It was 40 minutes long, something like that, just to get into Fortnite. So that puts it. So I got in, and that put me at 6 minutes past the 2:00 event before I could actually get into Fortnite. And Noah was just right behind me there. So we waited and waited, and the countdown went down, and then we got to the lobby, and the event had already started. And I've been following in my on my Facebook and Twitter pages, and they were saying that due to the overwhelming response to the game, they were going to release 2 more reruns of the live event. They didn't say when. I was going to assume that as soon as the main live event was over, they were going to release the other ones like right behind it so that people could just get it right then and there. So we're waiting and waiting. And so it's after 2:00. And then it appears that we see the clock change and it says 3 hours, which means that the next event was going to be at 5:00. Not right after this event. They were going to have to clean up the server or whatever and get everybody out and then get everybody queued up, stuff like that. So it was going to be 5:00. So it's like, okay, we're already in the lobby, so let's just stay in the lobby for the next 2.5 hours. And when 4:30 rolls around, they release the Big Bang thing to get into it. We'll be ready. So I go out, I run my errands. Noah stayed home, talked to his friends, and kept an eye on things, make sure things didn't shut down or whatever. And we were staying in there. So we came back. I got back and was getting ready to settle into play when Fortnite kicked me out of the server. I've been waiting there for 2.5 hours, and they kicked me. So I got back in. It was an hour and a half wait to get back onto Fortnite. This is 4:30. This takes it way past the 5:00 event. So I was going to miss that as well. So they announced that the next event was going to be at 11 p.m. I was like, I'm not staying up till 11 p.m. So I was like, you know what? I give up. I'm not going to do this. But my son was adamant. He wanted to try to get in like that. And that's when things get started interesting. Both Hunter and Austin tried to get in. They were kicked and also had to sit for an hour and a half. And then we got word that Fortnite was going to shut down due to the immense pressure on the servers. So there was going to be no live event at 5:00, but Noah was still in the lobby and his countdown was going. So his countdown finally hit 0, expecting to get into the game, and it kicked him out as well because Fortnite server shut down. So nobody could get in, but they still had queues. So if you went back in, you would have to wait another hour and a half. So they're thinking, okay, so the event's going to be in another hour and a half. And so people would wait an hour and a half and they would kick you again. And then they reduced it down to like 40 minutes. So you waited the whole 40-minute window. They would kick you again. Then it was said like 30, 20 minutes. You would wait the whole 20, 30 minutes. They would kick you again. Nobody was getting in. They were working on it, but they still had the stupid queue countdown. So Epic's getting blasted. The people who actually got in, 11.5 million people got into at the 2:00 event to see the event, posted all their stuff on YouTube so you can actually go see it now without actually having to be involved with it. So my son and I just decided, you know what, it's not worth it. So we'll just watch it on YouTube. I actually haven't watched it yet because I was so pissed off that I was on from 1:20 on. And I stopped at about 5:20. So about 4 hours I wasted trying to get into this event. That didn't even happen. And I kept an eye on it so that maybe Noah could decide that he would try to get in again. And eventually they said there's only be one other rerun at 11:00 p.m. Eastern time, which was a half hour ago. And by then it was like, you know what, it's not even worth it. So we didn't get to see the live event. Now, the Fortnite is now shut down for maintenance, which means the new chapter is going to be uploaded sometime this morning and will be available tomorrow morning. Now, as I told you, I won't be able to play it because I'll be doing Christmas tree shopping down in only Maryland. So, on top of that, they said, due to all the problems we've been having, we're going to give you some rewards. It's like, okay, we're going to give you like 367,000 XP from the OG season. That'll raise you 9.5 levels. That's useless to me because the OG season was over and done with, and I ended the season at level 76, and you only need to get to level 70 to complete the battle pass. So I wasn't even getting any battle stars. I was just leveling up just for the heck of it to see how far I could go. So 9.5 levels is not going to help me. It's going to make me now be, instead of 76, be at level 85. But I don't get anything special for that. Next up, all your Spectra Knights stuff is going to be auto-filled for you. I grinded and I got that done already also. Strike 2. You're going to get, when you enter the game, even if you didn't make it into the lobby, you're going to get the free background of M&M that you put up, and also a style for the M&M, one of the M&M skins, one of the special styles of the M&M skin. But you cannot access it unless you have the M&M skin. Strike 3. And they said, we're also going to give you a back bling, a claw machine. I don't have it. Probably not going to use it. Strike 4. That's it. That's all they're giving us. You'd think after all the stuff that they did, hyping this up, telling us you have 2 chances to see it, having the queue issues, shutting down, all that stuff, that they would maybe put that XP towards Chapter 5's Battle Pass so you could jump up 9 levels to begin with. I'd be okay with that without having to pay for it, because I always buy the Battle Pass, and then I buy the 25 tier extra level to it as well to get me a good start on things. That extra 9 would have come in really handy for that. The special M&M skin. Why don't you just give us the skin itself, and we can use that alternate skin version instead of us having to buy it to use the free skin we got. That would be acceptable too. A black back bling for all this, unacceptable. Now, it helps out my son a little bit because it does level him up a little bit more, so he's able to get a little bit more stuff because he didn't finish the battle pass. But other than that, he already said he finished all the Spectra Knight stuff. I was like, okay. So it didn't really help him that much either. Really dropped the ball on that one. Let's skip. I still have some Fortnite I want to talk about. We'll skip that right now for a little bit later. Let's talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Now, I know everybody's probably sick of hearing about them and stuff like that, and I'm a fan of both of them. I'm a shipper of that couple. I'm very happy with them, and I think they're really a good story, and I like reading stuff about them. So it helps me up my ratings here as well. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit too, because this week some stuff happened. First and foremost, everyone is talking about how there seems to be trouble in paradise because Taylor was not with Travis at Thanksgiving, and Travis did not go to Philadelphia to spend time with his family at Thanksgiving there. He just stayed at home and just decided to hang out in Kansas City. Taylor wasn't there because she was still finishing up her Brazil path of her concert. So she was not able to make it back because she had to do the concert. And Travis is a big grown-up boy. If he didn't want to go all the way to Philadelphia on a game week, because he was playing on Sunday, he just wanted to stay home and just stay there and be cool. That's his prerogative because he's working. He didn't want to fly to Philadelphia, have dinner with his family, then fly back the next day, and then prep for a game on Sunday. It's a lot of flying. So just stay at home, do your own thing, rest up, and get yourself ready. And they won their game, and he hit a record in the game last Sunday. Second part about Trouble in Paradise is kind of a twofold thing. So after Taylor finished her last concert in Brazil, she's off until January. So the good part was her plane was spotted flying into Kansas City, and Travis was spotted at Whole Foods buying a whole bunch of stuff that he normally doesn't buy. And so obviously he was stocking his kitchen refrigerator for his visit by his girlfriend. His girlfriend is probably going to stay with him the whole month of December before she has to go back to life on the road. Maybe not. She might know. But she's going to spend a good amount of time with him because this is some uninterrupted time. Because if you look at her concert schedule, she really has no openings next year. Her concert is bleeding into 2025 also. She's going all over the world. She's going to be doing Europe and Asia and then coming back to America and doing some of that. Her schedule is insane. And so I think she just wants to try to get and spend as much time with her boyfriend as she can. And he's working. His season isn't over yet. His season probably will not be over till February. So he's got a long way to go also. The Chiefs are the number 2 seed in the NFL right now behind the Ravens, but that's going to change tomorrow. If Kansas City wins, they're going to leapfrog the Ravens and become the number 1 seed again. He's working. And to have Taylor there is pretty cool. I mean, and it'll be, he's a football player and they're, football players and their wives, girlfriends, whatever, they have to deal with the fact that, he'll be working. It's his job. It's his freaking job. He goes into work, does practices, stuff like that, comes back, goes in again, and so on and so forth. Then if they have a home game, he just goes home and plays on Sunday. Or if he has an away game, he's got to travel. He's working. Not much he can do about that. So that good part is that it looks like that she is staying with him now, at least through the holidays here in December, which is really cool. We're going to see tomorrow. They have the Sunday night game, so we'll see if she's actually going to show up. They're playing Green Bay and Lambeau. Green Bay is not that far from Kansas City, if I recall correctly, my geography. So it's not going to be that bad of a trip for them. And so Taylor could absolutely go see him in Lambeau. So we'll find out tomorrow for sure. But then the story broke this week that Taylor jetted off to London a few days after arriving in Kansas City to the global premiere of Beyonce's concert movie, which came out on Friday and took the number 1 spot. Didn't make as much as Taylor's, but it still made a decent amount. Beyonce is a friend of hers. Beyonce came to the premiere of the Eras Tour movie, and Taylor wanted to return the favor. So she jetted to London without Travis because Travis is working. He can't jet to London with her. He's working. He has a job. He can't just gallivant around. She's on vacation. She can do whatever the hell she wants to do. They're both grown-ups. It doesn't mean there's trouble in paradise. It means that Travis has to work and Taylor wants to go see her friend. Couples go through that all the time, married or otherwise. One person has to work, the other goes on vacation or takes a trip to see a friend, and vice versa. It happens. And sometimes they're lucky enough to get off and go out together. But Travis really does not have a break from football unless they get the bye into the playoffs. He does not actually have a break until February, depending on how far they go in the playoffs. If they get knocked, if they're not the number 1 seed and they get knocked in the first round, then he's done. If they are the number 1 seed, he has the bye, so he can take a breather there. And then, but by then, I think Taylor is starting her tour in Japan. So I don't know if Travis is going to be able to go to Japan to see it. I'm sure he probably could, because there's still a window where he'd still be able to be okay, because they wouldn't play till the next week anyway. And then they could lose that one and his season be over. Or either if they are not the number 1 seed, or they play the first round or the second round, they could go all the way and make it to the Super Bowl. And they get a bye there between the end of the playoffs and the Super Bowl. But that's filled with all kinds of Super Bowl stuff. So he's not going to be able to really travel that much either. He's going to Vegas anyway, because that's where the Super Bowl is. So, but his season will be over, more or less, either by end of January or beginning of February. And then he'll be free. Not entirely, because remember, it's a full-time job now, so he's going to keep in shape. He's going to keep his stuff, and they'll do, some meetings and stuff like that. But he'll be able to do a little bit more, and so he'll be able to see Taylor a little bit more. So he'll be able to have a little more free time while she's traveling. But that doesn't mean that there is trouble in paradise. It just means, like, I have to work. I can't go with you, unfortunately. I would love to, but I can't. I got to work. But by all means, baby, you go and you see your friend. Who am I to stop you? It's your life. You're your own person. I'm not a controlling boyfriend. Do what you want. Because we know, as she said in her song, she'll be coming right home to him when she's done over there. And I'm sure, as I said, it was probably, she wasn't going to stay too long. She wanted to go see the movie, probably hung out with Beyonce. Might spend a day or two there, but she's probably back in Kansas City now. Or they're on their way to Lambeau, or might be in Lambeau right now. She might be staying with him in the hotel in Lambeau, or she might be flying in tomorrow to Lambeau. I don't know. I don't know, because it's a night game, so I don't know what's exactly going on with that. And actually, honestly, it's not my fucking business. But that is not trouble in paradise. That's just a couple doing couple things, surviving. So that got me annoyed also. And then a magazine, some sort of rag or whatever, claimed that Taylor secretly married her ex-boyfriend. That's complete fabrication, and everybody leaped on them about that. I mean, there were multiple, not just fans, not just Swifties, actual journalists, music journalists, who found them saying, "Are you high? No, we know that there is no secret marriage. It's just a way to try to make her look bad, because, again, you could make the case that it's a GOP plot, not to get all conspiratorial, but we know that the GOP does not like her because she's getting young people signed up to vote, and young people do not like the GOP because they do not like young people, except as workers or to have sex with when they're 14 years old, which is what the GOP does. Unbelievable. All right. What else was there? I think I covered all that. Let's talk about stupid executives. Bob Iger, the head of Disney now, is one of the biggest twat waffles out there now. And he said not one, but two stupid things today, or this week. One, he said that the reason why the Marvels failed, besides misogyny and besides the fact that it's going to be on Disney Plus in a couple months, and people rather would wait to watch on Disney Plus than go out and see it in the movie theater, because of the knowing that it's going to come out very soon afterwards, that it's not a priority for them to go see it. Besides all that, it's because there weren't enough executives on the set to make the decisions. You give the money to the production. And yes, you want to see return on your money, but that does not give you the right to tell them what to do. You pick these people, your producers pick the director and the actors to be in this movie, to make this movie. And you got to let them make this movie. There's not been one movie where executives have come in and fiddled around with it and made it a better movie. If there is, you can leave something in the comments for me, but honestly, I can't think of one on top of my head. There are many instances, though, where execs came in and fucked up a movie. I'll give you one in particular, Disturbing Behavior, one of my favorite movies. But it's an 89-minute choppy movie that I can understand why it didn't make a lot of money. But the director wasn't looking for that. The director was aiming, David Nutter, he was aiming for like an hour and 50-minute long movie. And he had a whole bunch of other stuff planned. But it came out, unfortunately, at the worst time. Disturbing Behavior came out right around the time of the Scream teen horror renaissance, where Scream and Urban Legend and Cherry Falls and all these horror movies with Cursed, stuff like that, with teen casts, like the Sarah Michelle Gellers and the Jennifer Love Hewitts, and the Freddie Prinze Jr.'s and the Ryan Philippe's and the Reese Witherspoons and so on and so forth. They were making bank. The Nev Campbells. They were making bank. And so they were flooding the market with all these types of movies. So eventually it was going to fail, because when you flood the market with all kinds of stuff, it lessens the impact of people wanting to go see these movies, because there's so many of them. And that's what would happen with this term. They wanted to make it like a Scream sort of movie or a horror film, that's not what it is. This is a psychological, social movie. If you don't know the premise is basically a small town on an island off the coast of Seattle, Washington, in the woods and stuff like that. It's a small town where there's a group of students called the Blue Ribbons, who have bake sales and are wear sweaters and are upstanding young people. But there's a secret behind them. They were not all that way. They all used to be bad kids. And this one doctor, who is the psychologist at the high school, has created a way to brainwash the children from being these bad kids and turning them into good kids, forcing them to be turned into good kids instead of you parenting them or laying boundaries or just dealing with their different ways of acting. They brainwashed them into being these young, upstanding people, and they implanted chips in their brains, which causes them to be this way. But here's the kicker. Whenever they get sexually aroused, because they are teenagers, it fizzes out the microchip and they become extraordinarily violent. Yes, it's got a semblance of horror in it, but it's got more of a psychological, social issue thriller sort of thing. How do you have the right to change somebody's personality because you don't like it? But the execs didn't want that. They wanted a horror film with lots of, cuts and violence and quirkiness and silly actors and, quips and stuff like that, and make it exciting, make it like a Scream and stuff like that, instead of it being its own film. So since David Nutter really didn't have the power, the producers came in and they sliced and diced that movie. He said, I came this close to Alan Smithing it, which means that, you took your name off of it so that nobody knows you directed it. But he ended up, keeping it, and it tanked at the box office because it was so choppy. They had no editor they tried their best to make it look good, and the director tried his best to acquiesce to them, but it was really, really hard. And on the DVD/Blu-ray, it has all the cut stuff that he wanted to put back in the movie. And some of it's actually really good. Now, there's also a sex scene between James Marsden and Katie Holmes, which probably didn't need to be in there. But besides that, there's some really interesting stuff in there. In fact, it goes more into depth about, James Marsden is the hero in it. His older brother committed suicide. And we don't really see much of that, and that how that fucked up the family. In the deleted scenes, we fucking sure do see that, and it became a major story arc, which is what the director wanted. He wanted to talk more about what that issue was. So when execs come in, they're going to fuck up your picture. And so that's what Bob Iger says. The reason why Marvel's failed is because there weren't enough execs to make decisions. And also at the same time, it's sort of misogynistic take because Nia DaCosta was the director. She's a woman of color who's woman director. And basically they're saying us stuffy old white men should have been allowed to take over your picture and tell you what to do because you're just some stupid person of color woman that Disney hired, that other higher-ups hired, because Kevin Feige hired because he's woke. Bob Iger's a piece of shit. And he gets even better, too. He also says that the reason why Disney's other movies have all failed also is because the higher-ups, I guess he's not really in charge. I guess he sort of took over about a year or so ago, and these movies have been in the works for a while, I guess. But he says there's too many message movies now that Disney's doing and not enough just entertainment movies. That's why Disney is losing money. That's not why Disney's losing money. Disney's losing money because of Disney Plus. COVID is only 4 years back, and it's not gone. It's still there. And hell, that if you believe the rumors now, there's a new potential pandemic heading our way next year because the same stories that popped up around the same time that COVID did back in 2019 of stuff that's been happening in China overseas. And then it moved its way over to America in 2020. We're seeing that again, apparently, in 2023 now, with around the same time that COVID made its first appearance, a new strain of pneumonia is wiping out parts of China now, too, and moving its way here, too. So we are maybe up for another pandemic coming here. So when the pandemic happened and things shut down, movie theaters shut down, stuff like that, that's when the streamers came into power and streamed their movies that they spent all their money on to get people to watch their stuff and buy these subscriptions, which is how they made their money, and watch these movies available only on Disney Plus. But then when things started loosening up a little bit, already due to that, lots of changes were made to movie productions. They had to be moved due to COVID issues and other actors, and then the strikes happened, all that stuff. So Disney has moved so many movies that, they're just expecting it to never happen again or to be moved again to a year or two down the road. So when things started opening up a little bit, the movies that they had in the can or started making, they started releasing them in theaters, but people were still happy enough about watching these movies from their home. It's like, why should I go out to a movie theater, which is hugely overpriced, particularly for the snacks, the tickets? Hell, we have to get out of our car, depending on where the closest movie theater is, drive. You might have to pay to park. And then you have the people who talk incessantly during the film or are on their phone or don't turn their phones off, regardless of what the movies say. Don't have that stuff on, don't do that stuff, whatever. They still do it. And people are like, I know this movie is going to be out in a few months on my streaming service. So why should I spend all this money to go see it in the movie theater when I can wait 2 months and see it for free? Well, for the subscription fee, but you've already paid that for free on Disney Plus in my own house where I can pause it if I have to go to the bathroom, and I can have my own snacks that I already paid for, usual grocery store prices, which are getting up to being where movie theater stuff is, but not quite as bad. Definitely not as bad. And because of that, also, there's all these people who have, you know, are angry at Disney. So they want to see Disney fail for whatever reason, or they want to see the Marvels fail because they don't like Brie Larson. Or they're whiny little bitch boys who can't stand seeing women in forms of power or running movies. So they have to, Snyder them by, being toxic assholes and threatening people, which Zack Snyder completely condones, by the way. He helps it along, actually, and he had a little something to say today also, which I'll get into in a second, too. But Bob Iger's like, yeah, because we're so woke, Disney movies are woke, we're losing money. And the Schadenfreude of Wish, the 100th Disney animated film, not the 100th, the 100th year of Disney, the animated movie coming out, and the failure of that because it didn't do very well at the box office, and the people just finding so much glee in its failure absolutely infuriates me. Similar to what happened with Elemental in the summer, and that surprised people, but we're not going to get that bump for Wish, I don't think. But again, the Disney Plus people are like, I don't really want to go. I got to save my money for Christmas. I've already spent money on the subscription Disney Plus. It's not a movie that I need to see in the movie theater. I can wait a few months till it comes out on Disney Plus and then watch it whenever I feel like it. That's not a failure. That just means people don't want to go to the movie theaters unless there is a movie that you have to see in the movie theaters. Like to be fair, an Oppenheimer is something that probably loses a lot if you watch it at home. So you kind of maybe want to see that in the movie theaters. Barbie had the zeitgeist of that whole Barbenheimer sort of stuff going on. That's why it became a huge hit. Super Mario Brothers, we didn't really know, was it Paramount Plus or we didn't know when that was going to come out, but it's Super Mario Brothers, the animated cartoon. Kids loved it, that type of stuff. That's why that succeeded. But there were a whole hell of a lot of other movies that were not comic book movies, and they were not just Disney or Marvel movies that flopped. I mean, even harder than the Disney stuff. And yet you don't find people saying you need more execs working those things, or you need to stop doing messages. They flop because they weren't good movies, or they're going to wait until they pop up on a streaming service because it is too expensive to go to the movie theaters now. People want to see must-see event type movies, and you're not going to get a whole lot of those. It's the way it is. So this whole thing is just driving me absolutely bonkers. And the fact that, he's saying that message movies are bad, that's why we're losing money. That's fucking from Trump's playbook. And that just means that you're a fucking GOP Trumper dick face shitball motherfucker who needs to shut the fuck up and go away. Piece of shit. Speaking of other pieces of shit, Warner Brothers CEO, Zaslav, whatever the fuck his name is, I don't give a rat's ass, says it took courage to cancel Batgirl and to cancel Coyote versus Acme. It takes courage to do that. We didn't want to do that, but it takes courage. We had to save ourselves. No, you fucking didn't. You did not have to fucking shelve a movie that was already 90+% done because you think it's going to lose money. You fucking released The Flash, which was one of the biggest fucking pieces of shit, hugest flops, even huger than the Marvels. And yet all these people are not calling that out, despite the fact that Ezra Miller is a psychopathic motherfucker. Batgirl had the perfect ingredients to probably make a decent profit. You had Michael Keaton coming back as Batman in a bigger role than he did in that shitty Flash movie. You had Brendan Fraser, who everybody loves, who is undergoing a renaissance, playing the bad guy. You had J.K. Simmons coming back as Commissioner Gordon. And you had, here's the whole thing. Oh my God, I just cracked it. The reason why they canceled it is because they had a person of color playing Batgirl. and one of her friends was trans. Holy shit. WB is fucking woke. We got to cancel that because all the anti-woke people aren't going to go see it or complain to go see the movie. Fuck you, Zaslav, you piece of shit. The fucking assholes who don't like that shit is a minor percentage of people who probably weren't even going to see the fucking movie in the first place. And then why the fuck did you why'd you drop Coyote versus Acme? It's a fucking live action animated series combination with the fucking John Cena in it. Everybody loves John Cena. And everybody knows the Coyote and Roadrunner. Maybe they didn't think, maybe you think that they don't. Maybe today's generations don't know. But who gives a fuck if they do or not? You have whole generations of people my age who have jobs and have their own money, and the nostalgic assholes. I'm not a nostalgic asshole, but it'd been neat to see how they would do this combination live action animated with Coyote and Roadrunner and John Cena. I'm not nostalgic for it, but it'd be kind of fucking neat to see. And that was fucking done. And you shelved that as well. Now, the good news on that one, I talked about on my show a couple of weeks ago or last week or whatever, it's being shopped around and every streaming service has put in a bid for it. So obviously, someone wants to fucking see it. You should fucking put Batgirl out there too, because fucking Netflix just bought up all the fucking Zack Snyder DCU bullshit. They probably would have bought that. I would probably rather watch Batgirl than any of that other shitty fucking stuff from that hack asshole fucking Donald Trump of the filmmaker Zack Snyder. But let's talk about that dumb shit. He said something this week that says that it was right for his toxic fans to demand the Snyder cut of Justice League. Let me reiterate that again. He said it was right and good that his toxic fan base demanded the Snyder cut. I think it has something to do with how Joss Whedon ruined his vision or whatever, and Joss Whedon is the current whipping boy out there now. Zack Snyder, you're a fucking hack. This Rebel Moon bullshit that's all over the fucking place now. You're like, I got 23 different director's cuts for it. Make one fucking director's cut and release that, you dumb shit. Oh, and guess what? You're only releasing it in like 3 theaters and it's done on Netflix. If you're such a goddamn great filmmaker, why the fuck aren't you getting a wider release? All your fans are like, it would make more money than Avatar. Fuck that. It will not. It will not even come fucking close. The reason why they're not doing it is because you know it's going to fucking tank if they send it to the movie theaters. So instead, they're going to put it on Netflix, where it's going to make get a ton of views and be considered a fucking success. And you're going to get Rebel Moon Part 2 and the director's cut and the animated film. Fuck you. You fucking piece of shit. It is not a great movie. It is a mashup of Star Wars and Dune, and there's nothing new and creative about it. It's a fucking waste of space. And it's not just because of my hatred of Zack Snyder. If you see what the story's about, if you watch the fucking trailer, it's a mishmash of just stuff that he's stolen from other sci-fi things, and he's passing it off as his own. And his fucking fan base is like, God, you're a god. You know, you should release it wide in movie theaters because it would make more money. Avatar. As I said before, no, it fucking wouldn't. It would tank harder than anything. And therein lies the whole thing with Disney and stuff like that. Why didn't you just release all, you know, if this is the way it is going to be, why don't you just release all the Marvel movies and stuff like that directly to Disney Plus and see how successful it is? If you did that, maybe it would be more. What if you released it on that date? Maybe it would be more successful. Hell, why don't you go back to what you did with Black Widow? When you released Black Widow as part of you have to pay $30 for it, and then you own it for the rest of your life, you know, that's a way to make money. Why don't you get back to doing that? Instead of, if you're worried about it not making money at the movie theaters, release it at fucking Disney Plus at home. I guarantee you those movies would be hits because Black Widow actually made a shit ton of money. Not as much as, say, other Marvel movies. That wasn't expected. It still made a lot of money. It still is not considered a flop. Why doesn't Disney get back to that? If they are so concerned about the movies, and if you're looking at the way things are, the reason why your movies are tanking is because people don't want to go to the movie theaters anymore. They'll go for certain things, obviously. Barbenheimer was a pop culture thing. Avatar is, I can't even see the reasoning for that, but that's a whole other story. Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers, you know? Even the horror movies that are making bank, they're only making bank. They're not making $100 million, stuff like that. They're making like a good $30 to $50 million. The reason why they're successful is because their budgets are like 5 cents. Cut your budgets for the movies or release it on Disney Plus with a $30 tag. See how much money you get from that. Or just release it direct to Disney Plus. What was that one? It was the Pixar movie that came out. I want to say it's like Life or something like that. That came out about the jazz musician. That came out in 2020 at Christmas time. Did not go to the movie theaters. It went direct to Disney Plus, and it was a phenomenal movie. And it got a ton of views and was considered a success. Why don't you see that? Why the fuck do you think Zack Snyder is only releasing it in Netflix and it's only releasing it in 2 or 3 theaters? Is because he knows he's not going to make any money off of it. So I can put it on Netflix and it's going to be a hit, and I can claim that it's the greatest movie of all time. His fan base can, because he's a fucking asshole, Donald Trump of the movies, asshole. So all this shit and all this stuff that's going on in Washington is what's fucking killing me right now. Feel shitty all the time. I'm tired all the time. I feel shitty all the time. I have anxiety all the time, not just because of this, but other stuff. But that's the majority of it, is all this bullshit. And that story about Zack Snyder saying that his toxic fans who attack people and women and children and threaten them and stuff like that said they were right to demand that he get money from the WB or whatever it's called to finish the movie, which he claimed was already done. Do we have any good news coming up? We do. We're not going to get there just yet. We're going to continue with the shit right now. Jodie Foster. I used to like Jodie Foster. You know, she's a child actress. She's smart. She did some good movies. She's a director. But she's not doing anything. She's not relevant anymore, really. She's doing her thing, and that's fine. You know, if you would have just kept to yourself, that's fine. But you had to go and dogpile onto the criticisms of comic book movies. In this case, she's saying that the superhero movie phase has lasted too long, though she claims to like some of the films. So basically, she's saying that a genre of film has gone on for too long and they need to stop because it's hurting the theater. How? It's still making money. And how is this relevant to you, to us? Just because you're not any Marvel movies or DC movies or comic movies whatsoever. But to say that it's a phase that's lasted too long, it's like saying, you know what? We need to stop doing romantic comedies because it's just waited too long, lasted too long. We need to stop doing horror movies because it's just the phase has just gone on too long. It's art. You do not get to, you can have an opinion on it, absolutely. But you do not get to dictate what is good and what is bad, and what if something is overdone or not. And besides, Jody, I'm very surprised at you. You're a lesbian. There's nothing wrong with that. I applaud you for that. What is wrong is that you are defending an anti-Semite, wife beater who hates women in Mel Gibson. When he got through all this trouble, you defend him. He's one of your buddies. You film Maverick together, which is a great movie, by the way, a wonderful movie. And you directed him in The Beaver. He's your buddy, despite the fact that he's an anti-Semitic wife beater, alcoholic piece of shit, and who is single-handedly the reason why our country is probably going down the way it's going now, because his fucking torture porn film about Jesus made so much money because the fucking Baptists, where the movie was talking about anti-Semitism, that Jews are the reason for Jesus being crucified, and made the Jews be looking evil and stereotypical and stuff like that. They went out and they made this film that was, very low cost, make $320 million at the time, which was huge, which gave all these fucking asshole politicians, this is someone we can focus on. If we listen to them, they'll mobilize behind us, which in and of itself is illegal, because the whole law that's in our Constitution, which you all claim to uphold, says church and state should be separated. And also the reason why churches don't get taxed is because they're not allowed to back a certain political party. Yet the Baptists, backing Trump and his GOP QAnon people, are not getting taxed. Jody, just stay in your fucking lane. Talk about your new show coming out here. Just stay out of this. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about. And you defended an anti-Semitic wife beater who hates women. Good going. And you said you liked some of the films, but now you don't? Fuck you. I guess I'll just keep with this thing, and then I'll get into the Fortnite stuff, and then we'll get to the rest of the show, because I've been talking now for about 40 minutes about all this shit. So now we get into a gray area when it comes to comic book movies and franchises and stuff like that. And this isn't so bad. Edgar Wright, who I'm not a big fan of anyway, and only because film snobs talk about how great of a person, how great of a filmmaker he is. He's one of the best filmmakers out there. I've never seen any of his films. I don't have any frame of reference, but just the total filleting of him and his movies by the film snobs absolutely drives me bonkers. I mean, I'm sure Edgar Wright's probably a good guy. His movies are probably pretty decent, I suppose. I mean, he did the Cornetto trilogy, which I heard is pretty good, and was supposed to do Ant-Man. That was the other thing that pissed me off. So because his ideas for Ant-Man were just way different than what the MCU was trying to do for, and so I'm kind of glad he was gone, didn't have his hands on it. But Edgar Wright came out this week and said that he believes franchises need to take a breather so that the fans can get excited again. Now, again, that's not a bad sentiment, and then maybe that's the problem. But here's the thing. Captain Marvel came out in 2018? And now 6 years later, the second one comes out. 5 years later, the second one comes out. That's kind of a big window. Ant-Man, similar sort of beat, came out like 2018, 2019, something like that. Actually, I think Captain Marvel came out in 2019 and Ant-Man came out in 2018 and came out this year. So that's about a 4 to 5 year window. So that's a pretty long time in between stuff. So that really, That really doesn't explain anything, you know? Maybe franchises do need to take a break, or maybe you need to keep doing them to get people's interest, to continue people's interest in it. A good example is television. Is a good example. The Wheel of Time came out 2 years ago. The first season came out 2 years ago. Second season came out this year. I watched the first 3 episodes with my wife. I couldn't remember half the characters. My friend Mike, he said the same thing. It's like, I was really into it when it first came out. And now 2 years later, waiting for the new one to come out, I don't remember anything, so I'm not going to watch it. I don't know, Edgar. I'm on the fence about that. In one case, it makes some kind of sense, but in the other, I don't know. But at least you're not saying it's gone too long, or they shouldn't make them anymore because it's not art, stuff like that. You're just sort of saying maybe you just need to take a breather to get people to excite again. And I'll agree to not really agree, disagree, but we'll put that in that gray area. Now, the savior of everything. Now, the film snobs also slobber all over this guy's knob. But this guy actually makes some entertaining films that I've actually enjoyed. And for a while there, I don't know if I really liked them that much. But I like him a lot more now. Christopher Nolan. He came out this week in defense of comic book movies. He's saying, and particularly he was relaying this to Martin Scorsese. He was like, I don't quite understand your hatred of it, because franchise movies are important. And the reason why is because that's what people like to watch. If you look at all the movies that make a lot of money, they're all franchise-style movies. And they make a shit ton of money. Now, the reason why you, Martin Scorsese, besides being Martin Scorsese, are allowed to make the films that you want to is because the film companies have the money that they got from the successes of their franchises. Without the franchises, guess what? You got no money, because the film company has got no money. And even if they did, they say, okay, Martin Scorsese wants to make a movie with us. Okay, we're going to give you a budget of $3 million, but I need 13. Can't help you there. You got to figure out how to do it in $3 million. We don't have the money because we don't have a pipeline of money coming in. That's what franchises do. And that's what Christopher Nolan was saying. He's saying you need to have franchises. And you can have your opinion, whatever, I don't care. But we need to have them because they help fund your movies, the independent movies, the art movies, the drama movies that might not make a lot of money, but they get the prestige from the critics and from the film snobs and stuff like that. So they're out there. But why are you concerned about the money, Marty? Aren't you doing this for the art? That's me interjecting. Christopher Nolan didn't say that. Christopher Nolan's a nicer person than I am. But he's got a really goddamn good point. These franchises make a ton of money for you so you can make these goddamn dramatic, critic-loved movies. These art, as you call it. So this non-art that you call comic book movies is funding your art. Thank you, Christopher Nolan. Also, real quick, I want to talk about John Woo. I talked about him last week because he came out saying that, comic book movies are terrible and, wants to see real film and stuff like that. His movie Silent Night came out this week. Again, he makes only violent movies, so apparently violent movies are more artistic than comic book movies are, because that's all he makes is violent movies. This one's called Silent Night. It's about, a family whose kid gets killed or injured in a drive-by shooting, and the father loses his vocal cords and he can't speak, and so he decides to hunt down the people who hurt his family. Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful holiday film and a wonderful artistic film where somebody's going around getting revenge, which is good to get revenge for somebody who hurt your child, because that's something bad, but going around and killing people. Because killing is art, according to Martin Scorsese and John Woo. Comic movies aren't art. So I'm going to get a little, I've been talking about Schadenfreude. I'm going to get a little bit of Schadenfreude too. So your movie Silent Night came out this week. Didn't even place in the top 5. Lost to Beyonce's concert movie, Godzilla, Trolls, Napoleon was in there somewhere, and I forget what the number 5 was. Godzilla beat you. Beyonce beat you. Trolls beat you. Napoleon beat you. Why aren't you decrying them not being art? Why aren't you decrying that a Godzilla movie that beat your ass is not art? Why aren't you decrying a concert movie like Martin Scorsese didn't do when Taylor Swift beat him? Not a comic book movie, a concert movie beat him in his Killer of the Flower Moon when that came out. But he's not decrying concert movies. Oh, no, he's just dogpiling on comic movies because that's the cool thing to do now. It's the hip thing to do now. So it did not even get in the top 5. I don't even know where it went. Might even come underneath the Marvels, because Marvels apparently is a huge flop. So I guess this is a big fucking flop too, huh? Finally, on my last, I'm going to go almost an hour here. It is. It's over an hour. I've been on this this kick here. One last thing about Fortnite. So this Fortnite OG season that just happened became the highest played Fortnite season in forever. 100 million players, 11.5 million getting into the first show. I think 4.6 were registered to go into the second show. So this was supposed to just be a one-off, but Epic sees this and is like, yeah, we're going to bring back the OG map for another time in 2024. And all the OG fans are like, yeah, you listen to us. Yeah, OG rules. This is the best season fucking ever. And I'm going to say again what I said last week. This OG season was boring as fuck. There was no map change except for one POI, and that only lasted for 2 weeks. The weapons change was kind of cool. The vehicles change was kind of cool, but that was it. It's a boring fucking map. You can't swim. You can't drive in the cars. When you blow up stuff, it doesn't catch on fire and cause damage to you. This OG map is boring. Chapter 1 was fucking boring. But what they could have done to make this OG season much better was every season in chapter 1 had a different sort of theme. One was like futuristic, one was pirate, one was, I don't know, snowy or whatever. Why don't you just change the map to what that season was instead of just keeping the same goddamn map the same way it is and just adding little things here and there? Like for the pirate season, you add a few little pirate boat things and that was it. Why don't you just change it all up like you did when that season happened? Or the futuristic stuff. Why do you change that up? And then on top of that, you OG players want to keep playing the same goddamn map that's boring as fuck and never changes. You want to keep playing the same goddamn map over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. You don't want to move forward. You don't want to get new POIs. You don't want to get new mechanics in game. You don't want to get anything new or interesting, new weapons or whatever. You just want to stick around with the old stuff. God damn it, that's going to be fucking boring. That's one of the great things about this fucking game is that every 3 months it changes and keeps it interesting. Not the same old boring shit. But the problem is that all the OGs who played it in the original time, who left the game because they got tired of it, they all came back. That's why it made so much money, why it had so many players. If you want to do that, Epic, fine. Why don't you just release another game mode like you did? You created the Lego one and the festival one and the racing one. Why don't you just do a fucking OG map so all those assholes can go over there and they can play the same goddamn map over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? Instead of moving forward, let us people who want to play, who want to do something different, let us play that. A regular battle royale, none of this bullshit, ceasefires and same old shitty landmarks and POI and mechanics. And weren't you guys complaining that the map was getting boring? That's why they did chapter 2 and changed everything up. And now all of a sudden, no, it's not boring. And then on top of that, when chapter 2 changed their seasons and they barely changed the map, you complain about, why did you change the fucking map? They didn't fucking change the map in this season at all, except for one goddamn POI. It was a boring piece of shit. And these OG assholes come in who stopped playing the game because they didn't like it anymore. And us players who kept the fucking game going are now getting the shaft, not only from this fucking live event being a piece of shit, and now this. If it's another month, fine. I don't give a fuck. You know what? It's going to be a boring ass month, but let us keep playing different styles of the game, different chapters, different seasons, different locales, different mechanics. That's what makes the game more interesting than just playing the same goddamn things over and over again. I was fucking bored with this season. I didn't play for weeks. Well, not weeks, I should say, for days. These other seasons, I tend to play almost every fucking day. And they keep the same stuff for 3 months, and they change it. If you OG assholes want this so much, Epic, just give them their same goddamn OG map, play mode, and let them go the fuck over there and let us play our game. All right. I spent over an hour on this, so I got about... What time is it? 12:34. See if I can get the shit done by 1 o'clock. Speaking of Edgar Wright, no, we're going to talk about regular stuff now. I'm done ranting right now. We're going to talk about Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright, speaking of him, we just talked about him. He is considering remaking The Running Man, which was the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie based on the Stephen King novella, but actually Richard Bachman novella, but regardless, it's still Stephen King. And yet they changed it so much in the movie that it was still entertaining, but it wasn't really Stephen King's vision. Edgar Wright wants to remake it and wants to remake it more to Stephen King's vision. Okay, that's kind of cool. Also, I like the idea that Edgar Wright might be wanting to make Barbarella with the luscious Sydney Sweeney. So I think that would be kind of interesting to see that. So maybe I'll start changing my mind about Edgar Wright. But for now, that's what he said about that. So that's good. Talking about fucking Martin Scorsese and the Killers of the Flower Moon and of the cool Christopher Nolan. The first awards of award season have been given. The New York Film Critics Corner had a small award ceremony. It only has about maybe like 5 or 6 award, maybe 10, maybe closer to 10 awards. And there's a lot of big surprises. Some other ones. Killers of the Flower Moon takes the best film at the New York Film Critics Circle. Christopher Nolan wins Best Director for Oppenheimer. His cinematographer also won Best Cinematographer. Star Lily Goldstone of Killers of the Flower Moon won Best Actress. May, December, the Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore movie won Best Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor. Charles Melton, who beat Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Gosling, which is interesting. And Davy Joy Rudolph won Best Supporting Actress for The Holdovers. Best Actor was Franz Regorus for a movie called Passages. I never heard of that and did not even consider him to be in the running for Best Actor, but okay. The Boy and His Harem, Miyazaki's latest film, won Best Animated Feature. And those are the big prizes. So this is the beginning of Critics' Time. So this is setting the stage now for some things. Looks like The Boy and His Harem might be the one to take a look at. Killers of the Flower Moon has notched his first victory. Is it going to keep winning? Probably not. Oppenheimer's probably going to win a couple in there as well. Nolan is Best Director. This might be his first notch, but again, Scorsese might win some for that also. Maybe Greta Gerwig might get a little bit of love for that too. This guy, never heard of Charles Melton, whatever, for supporting actor. Maybe dope. He's going to be going up against Ryan Gosling and Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if that's going to succeed further or whatever. And this Best Actor, never heard of them. Never heard of this movie, but I'm not in film critics. I don't know. So we'll see. So interesting thing to start off award season there. On the opposite side, the Fallout trailer, based on the video game, is due out on April 12th from Prime. Got its first trailer for that. The show has Kyle MacLachlan and Walton Goggins in it. So we got to see that. It's actually not a bad trailer. It actually seems to be following the game, and that's pretty good. So good on you for doing that. Star Trek Discovery Season 4 trailer, which is the final season, was released this week as well. Both of these, I think, came out part of that convention I talked about earlier in the show. Good to see this. Lawman Bass Reeves, with the African-American lead actor, sets a new record for the most watched series premiere on Paramount Plus. So good on that. Jabari Walker exonerated in New York after 25 years in jail for wrongful conviction of double homicide. It's always good to see when they succeed, though. That poor guy has lost 25 years of his life in prison. Macaulay Culkin gets a Hollywood Walk of Fame star today, and he reunited with his TV mom, or his movie mom, Catherine O'Hara, who gave a wonderful speech, by the way. The No Way Up trailer came out this week. It's about a plane that crashes in the Pacific, lands on the edge of a cliff that's overlooking a bottomless pit sort of thing. There's a shark in the area. The survivors are on the plane, have a little bit of an air bubble in it. There's no major, I think Cole Meany's the biggest actor in that. He's not really a huge actor. So that movie got a trailer this week. Abduction is a new game is getting, what do you call those, where they're trying to raise money for it, but it sounds kind of interesting. It's what do you call it, what's the description of it? A weirdly strategic duck kidnapping game. So that just sounds pretty interesting, and it looks kind of cool. I think the thing is, you have a little set and you get like 12 ducks or something like that, and then you draw a card and you got to move your ducks into a certain form for them to get abducted by the aliens. There's a UFO over here, and you have to get it. They can only move it like one spot at a time or something like that. And I don't know how it actually works. It's still undergoing its, whatever you call that, where they're trying to raise money for it. So that's going right there. Frosted Flakes chocolate milkshake flavor is out. I don't know if that's a really good flavor, but okay. Some sports ball talk. Andy Reid is the first coach in NFL history to be the winningest coach for two different franchises. He was the Eagles head coach for a while, won 130 games for them, and got to a Super Bowl, I think. And then he's been with the Chiefs now, and they've won 125 games and made a couple Super Bowls. And both times he is the winningest coach in that franchise with 130 and 125, right there. Anniversaries, Christmas is coming, and one of the most popular Christmas movies of all time, Christmas Vacation, came out 34 years ago this week. And The Naked Gun came out 35 years ago this week. So we got a couple of good films that came out this week. All right, so I got 2.5 pages here, and let's move them right along. Speaking of Stephen King things, Edgar Wright is doing The Running Man. Francis Lawrence, who just did the most recent Hunger Games movie, is adapting The Long Walk, which is another Richard Bachman / Stephen King novella that's never been made before. So he's making that right now. A Skyrim player amasses 267,000 gold from all the bounties in there. He is now the highest player to get the most gold from bounties. And keeping with video games, Starfield player discovers an ominous alien hatchery on a barren planet. He was the first person to find it, and these types of games always have these sort of special Easter eggs, stuff like that. But could that lead to something in the future? Because nobody knew it was there, and now they do. Could this be something that is going to be released into Skyrim proper? Not sorry, Starfield proper, and going to fuck that game up? That would be pretty cool if that is indeed the case. Section 31 film with Michelle Yeoh, part of the Star Trek world, is set to start shooting in January of 2024. So that's pretty good about that. Eli Roth, in his successful Thanksgiving horror film, appears to be going the way of every other horror film now. He's got a sequel coming out for it, is now in the works to come out probably next year, that he's supposed to direct as well. So Thanksgiving is due to get a sequel, probably due out by next Thanksgiving. Wouldn't surprise me. Rooney Mara has been cast as Audrey Hepburn in a biopic. And for some reason, some people are not happy with that. I don't know why. I don't get it, but okay. Walmart is selling a 18 Twinkie box. It's about this long, and there's 18 Twinkies in it. So it's kind of cool. Sonic 3 is set to debut December 20th, 2024. We got our first look at Shadow, who's going to be the villain, I guess, on that one. Sandman Season 2 has resumed filming on Netflix, so we're going to see that sooner than later. Nosferatu, the Robert Eggers remake of Nosferatu, is set to debut on Christmas Day 2024. Yeah, okay. Sure, we'll go with that. Weird. Pokemon Horizons, the new Pokemon anime that will not include Ash Ketchum, and it's going to detail the Scarlet and Violet Pokemon, is set to debut on Netflix in the United States on February 23rd, 2024. Local news, Baltimore Orioles reliever Felix Bautista, before he was sidelined with arm surgery, he's going to Tommy John surgery, he's going to be out for a year and a half, was named the reliever of the year. So the Orioles keep racking up off-season accolades. The end, we start from trailer with Jodie Comer. Dystopian thriller is due to come out 1/19. Trailer came out this week. I had a better idea about it. Its basic premise is a woman decides to have and raise her daughter in the middle of an apocalypse. So we'll see how that goes. Bob Hart's Abishola is set to end after its 5th season. I mentioned that because Saida Ukolona, who is someone that I know, went to the same college I did, was better friends with my sister than me, is one of the stars of that show. So she is finally going to get, she's unfortunately going to end up not getting that job anymore, but that's the way the television world works. Now, last week I told you that Jenna Ortega will not be returning to Scream 7 because she said they'll be interfering with her Wednesday filming. That wasn't entirely true. She pulled a Nev Campbell and wanted more money, and Skybound, who is the producer, said no. So she said, well, I'm walking then. So now they're going to have to send out that money, probably to Nev Campbell, to get her in there to get that trilogy to end in a good way. Okay, Renegade Nell First Look is a TV show popping up on Disney Plus in spring of 2024. It's like looks like an old Scottish, a female Scottish, freedom fighter from the Braveheart era. So we'll see. McNugget Buddies are returning after 25-year hiatus. Don't really know much about them, but I guess they're little action figures that were in there as well. You can get the cat hat, which is a wearable cat tree. So you can put that on while you're working or whatever, and your cats can sit up there. I don't know how comfortable that would be, but that's not a fake ad. That is a real ad. Speaking of the Sandman anniversary, Sandman comic came out 35 years ago this week. Misery came out 33 years ago this week. Talked about Frances Sternhagen. She was in that as well. The day after, the TV show about a nuclear explosion in America that came out during the Cold War came out 40 years ago this week as well. Millennials say they need $525,000 to be happy, and they're not really wrong. After the price of food and rent and college loans and having a chance to actually do fun stuff and unwind, and to survive and have extra money, save money, stuff like that. $525,000 sounds like a lot, but that should be about right for normal people. To be honest, I think not just millennials, I think everybody should have that amount of money to be happy. I know it would help us out a ton. Some weird coincidences in sports, part 1. We'll do part 2 in a little bit. Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love both were quarterbacks for the Green Bay Packers. Well, actually, Jordan Love is the current quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. In their first 11 games as rookies, Green Bay Packer quarterbacks, they have the same stat lines. They both threw for 2,599 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, and had a 5-6 record after both of their first 11 games of their rookie season. So that's kind of interesting to look at. Other sports-related stuff. The Washington Commanders are being sued by the Native American Guardians for changing their name from the Redskins to the Commanders. Now, a lot of the reason why people thought that they were changing their names is because the Redskins was a derogatory term that a lot of people called Native Americans. And so people were screaming that they need to change it because it's not good for the Native American populace. But this Native American group says, no, we were fine with it. And the reason why is because the logo of the Indian that was on their helmet is an actual person called Chief Whitecalf, I think. And every time they wore that helmet into battle, they honored him. So they're trying to see if they can get the Washington to change their name, but it is actually run by Native Americans. It's not one of these things like Blacks for Trump, where people who hold the Blacks for Trump signs are all white. It's not like that. These are actual Native Americans who say, you know what, Redskins maybe have been a derogatory term, but the fact that you have this guy on your helmet, you honor him every time you wear that. So to be continued. Some science stuff. Strange blobs circling the Milky Way's central black hole is sending powerful gamma radiation to Earth every 76 minutes. It's powerful, but it's not enough to do any damage to us. But they're trying to figure out why it's doing that. Astronomers have also spotted an accretion disk, which is feeding matter to a young star, helping it to grow into a planetary system. It's about 100 light years from the Milky Way. So they're getting eyes at the actual birth of a galaxy, which is pretty interesting. Some history. In ancient Rome, Romans used to put white stones in their roads so that it would reflect the moonlight so you could walk safer at night because there was no light back then. Light bulbs, I should say. And this is the strange conspiracy theory sort of end thing. Studies suggest mushrooms are growing on Mars. One of these fringe groups came out and take a look at some of the photos from the Mars rovers and the orbiters and stuff like that, and noticed these weird things where they're not supposed to be that they say look a lot like mushrooms that are growing on the surface of Mars. So we'll see, to be continued on that end. Moving right along here. McGee's all over the place here. He's showing up 2 times here. McGee wants to show us his darker cut of Terminator Salvation. So he has again, the execs came in and said, no, you need to do this. And it didn't succeed, but he does have a darker version of it. So he wants people to see it, and maybe it'll make it be a better film, because it's getting a lot of bad publicity for that. That and the fact that Christian Bale lost his mind on a crew member, and got recorded and turned into like a meme sort of thing. And McGee also wants to do a Babysitter 3 to wrap up the story. Basically, it's about a psychopathic babysitter. And so McGee's showed up twice on this, which I wasn't expecting, but there we go. The Boys continues their spinoffs. They have a Mexico spinoff coming up from the Blue Beetle writer. It's to star Diego Luna and Gail Garson Bruel. So I guess good on that. I'm not a big fan of The Boys anyway, but everybody seems to like it. Dr. Death Season 2 trailer on Peacock, I believe, due to come out on December 21st. Dr. Death 1 focused on I think a true story about a doctor who was evil. This is a anthology, so they're going to focus on a completely different evil doctor with a whole different cast and stuff like that. So we got the first trailer for that. And I wasn't expecting that. Rob Reiner is making a sequel to his first film ever. This is Spinal Tap. They're doing a sequel to Spinal Tap that is also going to feature Elton John and Paul McCartney in it, along with Michael McKean, Christopher Guest, and I forget who the other guy is. I talked about the coincidence between Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. Here's another one for you. This is basketball. The worst loss of Michael Jordan's NBA career was 44 points, and it took place when he was 38 years, 333 days old. LeBron James this week had the worst loss of his career. Just so happened to also be 44 points, and also just so happened to take place when he was the age of 38 years, 333 days. Excuse me. So again, weird coincidences in sports. Keeping with sports, Anquan Bolden and Steve Smith Sr., both former Ravens, are due to have moved to the next level in the Hall of Fame voting. So that's good. If they get into the Hall of Fame, that's another. They probably won't go in as Ravens, but they'll have played for us, and so we'll have someone else who played for the Ravens in the Hall of Fame. New biopic of conductor Marino Ravel, who wrote his masterpiece Bolero, is set for 2024. I guess it's all dependent upon what Leonard Bernstein's biopic, how that does. Society of Snow trailer from Netflix was released this week. It is a remake of Alive for the most part. The Alien TV show has cast Timothy Olyphant as the star and also David Rysdale as a co-star. So moving right on. Fede Alvarez's Alien movie is set to take place between Alien and Alien. So if you remember that, Sigourney Weaver's character at the end of Alien was put back into cryogenic sleep, and she returned to Earth or whatever base it was 57 years later after being in cryogenic sleep, going from one end of the universe to the other. So in that 57-year window, this movie is going to take place. So that's kind of interesting to see that. The first look at Disney Plus's Agatha Darkhold Diaries popped up, and it looks spectacular. It looks good. So hopefully that'll continue to do good stuff for Marvel. Live action Naruto series coming in 2024. Why not? There's live action Yu Yu Hakusho coming out December 14th. Live action Avatar the Airbender coming out next year. The live action One Piece did phenomenal, so they're getting a second season. So you're getting all kinds of anime, and Netflix is pretty good about doing that stuff. So we're going to get that. I don't know if it's from Netflix, but it probably fits them pretty good. The Loki series creator is set to rewrite Avengers Kang Dynasty, so hopefully that'll put it back on its place where it needs to go. You can make Pokemon cards out of your pets now, which is kind of cool. It'll look like an official Pokemon card with all the stats, stuff like that, but it'll be an artistic version of your pet or pets, so that's pretty cool. Adidas announces Shell Toe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shoes. And Lay's potato chip is re-releasing Nashville hot chicken potato chips. Stunning codex documenting the Aztec culture is now fully digitized, so that's pretty cool for people who want to study that. Adam Sandler continues his reign as the god of Netflix as his animated film Leo gets the biggest animated opening of all time on Netflix. Ridley Scott's Napoleon movie did not quite do as well at the box office as expected, but it's doing decent. It's still out in the box office, but that ain't stopping Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg, who was friends with Stanley Kubrick before he passed away, is thinking of redoing Kubrick's long gestating Napoleon movie. Now, that was one of the movies that Kubrick was obsessed with, but he was never able to get it done before he passed away. He's got the script that's already, so Spielberg is working to make that film coming up. So we'll see. We'll make another Napoleon film here. Trailer for the Ted prequel is out. Yippee. I hate Seth MacFarlane and I hate Ted, so yippee skippy. But fans who like it, there you go. Boom cups are tumblers that have a Blu-ray speaker attached to them. That's the newest sort of thing to get out there and get stuff. The extended version of Taylor Swift's Eras movie will be coming to video on demand on December 13th, which also so happens to be Taylor Swift's birthday, with new footage added to it. So that'll be good. Make some money there. Okay. Some cryptid stuff. UFO spotted in TikTok star's video sparks alien abduction concerns. People believe that, they think the TikToker might have been abducted, even though she's back and all that stuff. But they think that she could have been because, most of alien abductions, you don't remember you were abducted by aliens. So we'll see. And Bigfoot has been spotted in the Virginia mountains, not that far away from us. Footprints have been discovered in Virginia of Bigfoot. So, hey, he's been spotted in 49 of the 50 states. The only state he has not been spotted in, obviously, Hawaii. Yep, been spotted in Maryland, and now he's apparently in Virginia. There's also, and I was going to say this for later, but I'll do it now, a female Bigfoot sighting has occurred in Kentucky. So they're still out there. We're still getting sightings of Bigfoot. So we're getting that as well. Chicago Blackhawks hockey team got into a little bit of an interesting story this week. Player Corey Perry was rumored to have slept with another player's, by the name of Connor Bedard's mom. So that's the big hockey, scandal going on right now. So one player slept with another player's mom. Okie doke. The world's biggest iceberg, which is about more than twice the size of London, has broken away from the ice shelf and is on the move. That's just great. Thanks, climate change. Anniversaries. Thriller, Michael Jackson's global phenom, the highest grossing album, highest bought album of all time, global album of all time. Thriller is 40 years old, came out this week, 40 years ago. Wow. Frozen, the Disney animated film, came out 10 years ago this week. And Mystery Science Theater 3000 came out 35 years ago this week. Some more deaths this week. Charles Munger, industry legend or investing legend and Warren Buffett's right-hand man, he died this week. Jean Knight, who was a singer who sang Mr. Big Stuff, she passed away this week. And Deborah Reed, star of Troll 2, died this week as well. Yeah, I moved along good. I might get under 2 hours because I don't got a lot left to say. The Muji flashlight will light regardless if you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 batteries in it. If you only have 1 battery in it, it will still light up. If you have 2, it'll light up. If you have 3, it'll light up. If you have 4, it'll light up. Now, obviously, each one is brighter. So white is 1 is the lowest one, not the brightest. 2 is a little bit brighter. 3 is a little bit brighter. 4 is the brightest it's going to be. So that's kind of interesting. Mr. Beast signed a $10 million contract to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 2 days. And he doesn't get to keep the $10 million. It was a stunt for one of his videos, but when he signed the contract, he was officially a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Officially, he was on their roster, and he actually got to run out on the field with them on Sunday's game. So that's pretty cool. God damn it, there's always one that I can't read. John Waters and David Lynch are fans of Lana Del Rey, whose great song Radio I absolutely love right now. And it's always great when you have John Waters and David Lynch mentioned in the same breath. There's that great picture of the two of them meeting at a Bob's Big Boy, which is just outstanding. Oh, Doctor Who, the Star Beast, the first of the new Doctor Who series that debuted on Disney Plus last week. The second one came out this week. I still haven't watched either of them. Was the biggest drama debut of the year on any streaming service. So congratulations to that. The Denver Broncos, that would be the last story. We'll talk about that. A black rhino, a rare mammal, was born in an English zoo this week. Baz Luhrmann, who just released his extended cut of Australia, his movie about the history of Australia, not really the history, but a portion of the history of Australia with Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman, was originally a movie that was about 2 hours long. Well, he extended to about a 4-hour-long movie and released it as a 2-part miniseries. And he had such a good time doing that, he's thinking of doing the same thing for his Elvis movie, doing an extended version of the film and breaking it up into a miniseries. Local news, football related, Lamar Jackson in his victory this past Sunday, last Sunday against the San Diego Chargers, became the fastest quarterback to reach 5,000 rushing yards. He did it in 82 games. Second place was Michael Vick with 108 games he did it in. So congratulations to you, Lamar. I can't read this. Never get next starring. I have no idea what that says. It's not time to look at it. We'll figure it out. I'll just never get whatever. Oh, never get rid of physical. That's right. Okay, that's what it was. Never get rid of your physical movies. And Christopher Nolan was a big proponent of this. He said, buy the Blu-rays, buy the DVDs of these movies. Don't buy them digitally because you will have a physical copy of what you want and they'll never go away and it'll never get changed. Whereas a digital can be removed from wherever you got it from, can also be re-edited and redone without you knowing and re-put in as a digital movie. So he says, keep it in there. Plus, also, some movies don't make it digital. The one movie they always point out is Cocoon, which is a great Ron Howard movie. Was a popular movie. Steve Guttenberg and a bunch of old people. I forget Jessica Tandy is in it, and her husband was in it. Wilford Brimley was in it. The guy from Harry and the Hendersons was in it. I can't think of his name right now. But you can't get that on streaming or on digital right now. So if you want to watch the movie, you're going to have to, get your physical copy out and watch it. Again, it's in digital. They might change it. There was a couple directors who changed their film, and then it was reloaded up, and you had it in your digital, so you got this different version of it. So that's kind of interesting sort of take on things. Sand was discovered in an exoplanet's atmosphere, so that's kind of interesting to see that there might be a sandy planet out there after all. Before we get to the final story of the week, anniversaries, Bad Santa came out 20 years ago this week. The vastly underrated Alien Resurrection came out 26 years ago this week. It had its issues, but it actually has a pretty interesting premise. I wish maybe they would have fixed that a little bit. This week, Star Trek IV Voyage Home debuted. I thought that debuted in the summer, but I don't remember when that came out, 84, 85, something like that. And then Rocky IV came out 38 years ago this week as well. So final story of the week this week, and I got it in just under 2 hours, so perfect. The Denver Broncos halftime show last week was bizarre, to say the least. It involved small children and goats. I got nothing more to say about that. I am done this show for this week, December 2nd, 3rd. It is now officially, it is 1:07 a.m. It is December 3rd. And next week's episode 530, hopefully I will not be screaming and yelling about stuff. Maybe I'll be able to catch some of the Doctor Who stuff. Maybe I'll be able to see Candy Cane Lane, which came out, which is Eddie Murphy's Christmas movie that came out on Amazon. Maybe I'll finally see Loki. I don't know. Or maybe none of the above will happen, and we'll find out. But yeah, nothing really exciting going on this week. As I said, my sister-in-law's birthday, my niece's birthday. It's Krampusnacht on the 5th. So happy Krampusnacht to you. I've been lucky enough to be able to do a show about Krampusnacht, but haven't been able to do. I didn't do one this week anyway. The Pearl Harbor Day is this week. My office's Christmas dinner, which I'm not going to go to again. I'm not going to get into the reason why I'm going to do that. And looks like another free weekend where not a lot of stuff going on. So I'm going to go see some movies maybe, get the house, inside the house decorated, so we'll find out. We'll be able to talk about the Fortnite's new season because that comes up a little later today. So I'll talk about that because I know I'll be playing that this week. So I'm going to get an idea about that. And Pokemon started their new winter season, the timeless era thing. It looks stupid, but I'll keep playing this Pokemon Go. They'll have a new event this week. So I'm not going to really talk about that too much, but there we go. So got to start doing Christmas shopping. Got to start getting stuff for my daughter's birthday. She's really hard to get stuff for this year. Don't really know much. I'm just got to start getting into movement because it's now 3 weeks exactly to Christmas Eve, 21 days. So enjoy. Oh, got my reservation for my Christmas Eve dinner. So got that taken care of. Again, didn't do that till like a week or so before. So I was able to get the good time slot. So we're good. We're great. I'm done. Anything else going on real quick? Let me just do a quick breathe through here. See if I still beat the 2 hour window. No. In college football's playoffs, they've got a lot to talk about. They've got it only have 4 slots and 7 teams that belong in them. So we'll find out what's going on with that. That's it. I don't think I got anything else. Nothing else showing up on my feed. And that's it. So I am going to finish this in less than 2 hours. So only by a minute. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you for hanging out while I went ballistic on stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.